High Admiral Zorvix of the Goltarian Dominion adjusted his ceremonial cape as the delegation's shuttle approached the neutral space station. The massive structure hung against the backdrop of a nebula, its gleaming hull reflecting the purples and blues of the cosmic clouds behind it. "Are the terms prepared?" he asked his aide, a slender Goltarian with pale blue skin. "Yes, Admiral," the aide replied, presenting a data crystal. "The demands are quite reasonable. The humans seed their outer colonies, provide tribute of key minerals for 50 cycles, and acknowledge Goltarian supremacy in the Orion sector." Zorvix nodded. The humans were a curious species, primitive by Goltarian standards, yet surprisingly resilient. The skirmishes along their border worlds had proven costly for both sides, but the Dominion's superior numbers would inevitably prevail in a prolonged conflict. The humans had requested these peace talks, which Zorvix interpreted as an admission of their inevitable defeat. How satisfying it would be to watch their representatives bow before Goltarian might. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud. Zorvix straightened his posture, all four arms aligned in the position of diplomatic superiority, as the airlock cycled open. The human delegation awaited them in the conference chamber, 5 figures in simple grey uniforms, their expressions unreadable to Goltarian eyes. Their leader, a female with silver streaks in her dark hair, stepped forward. "High Admiral Zorvix," she said, her translator rendering her words in perfect Goltarian. "I am Admiral Chen of the United Earth Alliance. Thank you for agreeing to these talks." Zorvix performed the minimalist bow accorded to lesser species. "The Dominion is always generous to those who acknowledge our rightful place in the galactic order." Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. "Indeed. Shall we begin?" The two delegations took their places at the conference table. View screens activated, displaying star charts of the disputed territories. Zorvix was about to present his terms when a soft chime sounded from Admiral Chen's communication device. She glanced at it, then looked up at the Goltarian delegation. Something in her eyes changed. A hardness appeared that hadn't been there before. "Admiral Zorvix," she said, her voice now cold and precise. "Before we proceed, I've just received word that your forces have launched attacks on 3 more human colonies during our journey here." Zorvix felt his neck frills expand in surprise. There must be some mistake. He had given no such orders. "That is impossible," he protested. "The Dominion has declared a temporary ceasefire for these talks." "Our intelligence suggests otherwise," Chen replied. She tapped her device, and the view screens changed to show Goltarian warships bombarding human settlements. These attacks began precisely as our meeting was scheduled to start. The Goltarian aide leaned close to Zorvix. "Supreme Command must have ordered this without informing us," he whispered. "A classic negotiation tactic, strengthen our position while talks proceed." Zorvix recovered his composure. A regrettable misunderstanding, perhaps. "Nevertheless, we are here to discuss terms." Admiral Chen stood up. "Yes, we are." She touched her communication device again. "Fleet Command, this is Admiral Chen. Execute Protocol Severin." The station's viewports suddenly blazed with light as space itself seemed to tear open. Where empty void had been moments before, hundreds of human warships now appeared, surrounding the station and the small Goltarian escort fleet. "What treachery is this?" Zorvix roared, rising to his feet. "You invited us to peace talks." "We invited you to talks," Chen corrected him. "We never specified what kind." Outside, the human ships opened fire. The Goltarian escort vessels, caught completely by surprise, had no time to raise shields. They disintegrated under the concentrated barrage. "You see," Admiral Chen continued, as if they were still having a civil conversation, "we've spent the last 6 months mapping every Goltarian fleet position, command center, and supply depot. We identified your command protocols, and developed countermeasures for every weapon in your arsenal. Zorvix stared in horror as the view screen showed more spatial rifts opening throughout Goltarian territory, thousands of human warships emerging simultaneously near every major Dominion military installation. "This isn't a peace negotiation," Chen said. "This is your unconditional surrender. The attacks you launched today were the final confirmation we needed that the Goltarian Dominion cannot be reasoned with. But you're outnumbered 10-1. Zorvix protested. "The Dominion has ruled this sector for 1,000 years. Chen's smile was cold. "We haven't shown you everything we can do, Admiral. Humanity spent centuries divided, fighting amongst ourselves. When we unified, we poured those resources into defense. We've been holding back, letting you think you were winning those border skirmishes." On the screens, Goltarian facilities across 3 sectors were going dark as human forces struck with surgical precision. "Your leadership has 2 hours to transmit their surrender," Chen said, "or we continue to Phase 2. I suggest you contact them immediately." As the human delegation departed, leaving stunned Goltarians under guard, Zorvix collapsed into his seat. In his 8 decades of military service, he had never imagined such a comprehensive deception. The humans had never wanted peace, they had wanted the perfect moment to strike. And the Dominion, arrogant in its 1,000-year history of conquest, had given it to them. The most terrifying part wasn't the ambush or even the superior technology. It was the realization that humans, those supposedly emotional divided creatures, had executed the most patient, calculating military strategy Zorvix had ever witnessed. They hadn't just outfought the Dominion, they had outthought it.